Backslide by Black K. Cat. Chapter 20. Changes. Kiba is happy with his team for the most part. Sure, Shino can be an arrogant, taciturn jerk sometimes, and Hinata is a bit too quiet and timid most of the time, but Kurama is nice. She doesn't work them too hard, and she understands that being clan heirs, they've all been raised in different unchangeable ways. She likes Shikamaru too, which is always a plus. All in all, things could have been a lot worse. His mother's told him that his genin team will be a part of him forever, and he thinks he's beginning to understand. Because his becoming a ninja depends pretty much entirely on these two kids and this jonin, and how he gets along with them. With this in mind, he sometimes feels a brief flash of pity for Naruto, stuck with that brooding Deme and his obsessed fangirl for the next however many years it takes them to reach Jonin. A lot longer than it will take Team 8, probably, given Team 7's members. With a snarl, Kiba feels his foot slip, only 4 feet up the trunk of the tree he's attempting to climb. He curses, but gravity's already reasserting itself, and it gives in before he can take another tumble straight onto his head. Shikamaru barks encouragingly as he lands, but it's not helping. Hinata is the only one who's gotten it so far, and she's sitting up on a high branch looking exceedingly awkward and mortified, even though he and Shino haven't said anything even remotely nasty. "Kurenai-sensei," he huffs, resisting the urge to kick the tree. "What am I doing wrong?" It's little comfort that Shino looks just as aggravated. After all, he at least has managed to get halfway up the trunk before losing his grip. Seated on a boulder off to one side of the meadow, Kurenai looks sympathetic. "I'm sorry, Kiba, but you have the theory down. Now all you need to do is practice and refine your control, and that I can't help you with." Kiba pulls a face and glares at his tree, distantly wondering how Naruto is doing with this. Probably badly, dead last that he is. He can ask, though, since somehow the blonde has managed to be entirely absent lately. Which is weird, because while genin are basically little more than slaves to training in D ranks, they still get days off. Even so, Kiba hasn't seen any of Team 7 since a few weeks after they graduated. Even that weird Jonin instructor of theirs is nowhere to be found. They've been in Konoha. The scents are still fresh, after all. But they just haven't been around. "Again, Kiba," Kurenai says, gentle but implacable. "You'll never get better if you don't work at it." Kiba wants to say something witty, make some reply that will show off his blinding intelligence and quick mouth, but before he can even think of a response, there's a rush of rustling leaves, a flash of flying kunai, and two forms burst out of the trees, spin back to back, and freeze, wary alertness in every line of their bodies. Too startled to speak, Kiba just blinks at them. At Sasuke and Naruto voluntarily standing together and breathing the same air without even bickering. It's probably a sign that all of Konoha is going to go up in flames. Naruto, Hinata manages, flushing cherry red as she slides down her tree trunk. You're... Naruto glances over and grins at her, not seeming to notice that she's about to pass out from all the blood rushing to her face at the sight of him. "Hey, Hinata-chan," he says cheerfully, even as he switches his attention back to scanning the area. He's got a kunai in one hand, and the orange jumpsuit is entirely gone, replaced with a long-sleeve mesh shirt under a half-sleeved black top and basic snowy pants. That spiral design his jumpsuit always sported is still there, though smaller, stitched onto the shoulder in dark orange. And he looks happy. Maybe that's not saying a lot, because Naruto always seems to be laughing and smiling and generally cheerful, but this is different. He looks different. "Hey, lame brain, what is this? Get off of our training ground!" Kiba bursts out because he's confused and has never been one to take such things well. "Don't call him that!" Sasuke shoots back, flicking a truly venomous look in his direction. His hand tightens on the hilt of the katana he's carrying. Kiba's jaw drops. Hinata blinks. Even Shino raises an eyebrow. "Shut up, dog breath!" Naruto agrees cheerfully, then snaps back to Sasuke. "What on earth? I go double standard! You still..." "Because you're a dope, and even Kurama can't fix that." Sasuke shoots back, but rather than a smirk, he's... smiling? It's fate, but Kiba's pretty sure it's a smile. What the heck? Before he can say anything else, though, a new scent joins those already on the breeze, and Kiba lifts his head curiously. At the same moment, Sasuke and Naruto both tense and drop into ready stances. Sasuke lifts his sword, eyes narrowing, and then spins deflecting 3 shuriken in quick succession and leaping back as kunai thud into the ground where he'd been standing. Naruto matches him easily and says, "Where?" 7 o'clock, Sasuke answers tensely, then drags Naruto 3 steps to the left as sand bonds slam into the tree behind them. Arrgh! Dopura mutters, but he's already flicking through hand sides almost faster than Kiba can see and without so much as a single fumble. "Drive him! Yes, with your... on it!" He steps forward, takes a breath, and cries, "Suiton! Exploding water shockwave!" A stream on the far side of the meadow seems to burst, the water in it racing for the trees, but in a frankly frightening wave. Kiba wants to scream at Naruto, ask him when the heck he learned something like that. But the unfamiliar scent is moving, darting out towards the open ground in a flash of blood red and steel silver. 6 more shurikens slice through the air, and Sasuke steps squarely in front of Naruto, only just managing to deflect them with his sword. They don't look at each other, don't speak a word, but Sasuke is already racing through hand signs. "Get on! Great fireball!" he orders, raising his fingers to his lips, and even as the surge of flames races out towards his attacker, he drops flat to the ground. Just in time, because as he does, Naruto steps forward, pushes his hands out, and cries, "Put on! Great breakthrough!" Wind shrieks away from them with the force of a hurricane. It strikes the fireball, and the entire training ground seems to explode into a sheet of flames. Kiba yelps, Shino makes a sound that's quickly cut off, and Hinata gasps, even as Kurenai jerks to her feet. But when their eyes clear, the attacker, whoever it is gone, and Naruto and Sasuke are standing shoulder to shoulder at the edge of the clearing, looking around nervously. "Think they got him?" Naruto asks, though he doesn't sound hopeful. Sasuke snorts. "Got him? No. Made him retreat for the moment? Possibly." He chances to look around and flips his sword over and slides it away into the sheath strapped across his back. "We should get up." "Shut up, Teme! I don't want to face that stupid scarecrow's punishment any more than you do." Naruto shivers faintly in horror, face leeching of color. "Perhaps most frightening of all." Sasuke looks sympathetic. He nods sharply. "We need Sakura." Naruto agrees, and then in a single bound, they're gone, leaping up into the trees like they've got glue on their feet, and then vanishing into the shadows without a sound. Kiba exchanges disbelieving looks with Shino. The dead last and the Teme? Working together? What the heck? A flicker of red and black touching down draws their attention as a man lands in front of them, a jonin with long red hair pulled up in a high tail. He smiles at them, then inclines his head to their sensei. "Kurenai-san, I apologize for disrupting your training. I'll try to keep them out of this area." "Uzumaki-san?" Kurenai asks, sounding startled. Not as startled as Kiba, though. Isn't Uzumaki Naruto's last name? The redhead simply smiles, shaking his head. "Just call me Kurama, please. Uzumaki-san makes me feel old. I'm helping my cousin's team," he explains easily. "We're playing tag. Ninja style, of course." Yeah, they're definitely related. That mischievous grin is the same one Naruto wears when he's pranked the teacher and knows it can't be traced back to him. Kurenai huffs a soft laugh, shaking her head. "Just avoid Anko," she warns the man. "She hasn't forgiven you for giving her the slip last time." That earns them a bright, sweet laugh, and Kurama salutes. "Thanks for the warning. I'll let you get back to your training." "Have a good day, Kurenai-san, teammate." "You as well," Kurenai answers, clearly bemused, and the redhead offers a swift wave before he leaps after the two genin. There's a long, thick moment of silence. Then, "What the heck?" Kiba explodes. "When did Naruto and Sasuke learn to do that? What did that weird sensei of theirs do to them?" Kurenai stares after the red-haired shinobi for a long moment, then shakes her head. "If I knew," she says dryly, "I'd do the exact same to you." Kiba splutters in outrage and cries, "Hey!" As long as he's been consciously aware, which is a decent length of time given that he's a Nara, Shikamaru has known which team he was going to end up on. Not the number, maybe, or who his sensei would be, but he was the Nara heir. Like his father, like his grandfather, he was going to continue the legacy of the Ino Shiga Cho trio with the other clan heirs of his generation. There's no use in complaining. And it's just troublesome to do so when there won't be any result beyond being told to suck up and deal with it. So Shikamaru never lets on that maybe kind of a little he'd wanted to be on a different team. But Choji, of course, because Choji is his best friend. But preferably without Sasuke's #1 self-proclaimed biggest fan. Ino used to be bearable, if a bit high maintenance. Though she's a girl, and Shikamaru suspects that such things are part of the deal with girls. She'd been a friend, too, when they were little, with Inuichi bringing her by almost every day. She was the pint-sized general who ordered him and Choji into all manner of trouble, and then got them off the hook as easily as batting her big blue eyes at whatever authority figure happened to be nearest. A terror, certainly, but she was fun, if still troublesome. But now, Ino is nothing more or less than a complete drag to listen to, and Shikamaru is one recitation of Sasuke's perfection away from honking Uchiha and leaving him on her doorstep with a big red bow, just to shut her up. Even that probably won't work, though. Fangirls are truly formidable creatures. Are you listening, Shika? Ino demands, stabbing her chopsticks at him threateningly. It's bad enough that Shikamaru is half wishing they hadn't stopped for lunch. At least, when they're doing taijutsu drills, Ino is too occupied to keep ranting about her beloved Sasuke-kun and arch-nemesis, Sakura. Not really, he answers truthfully, and Ino puffs up dangerously. Shikamaru braces himself for the explosion, half-heartedly wondering if he'll be able to get away with stuffing his fingers in his ears. Probably not. Naruto, for all his boisterous good cheer, would have been an awesome third teammate. Kiba, Shino, Hinata, possibly even Sasuke. They'd all have been acceptable too. Shikamaru silently cursed the gods for ever having dreamed up this particular incarnation of the Ino Shikacho, and sighs, long and heavy and put upon. Choji gives him a sympathetic glance and steals the last dumpling out of his bento. Shikamaru needs better friends. Really. Then, with some surprise, Choji says, "Hey, isn't that Sakura-chan?" Entirely distracted, Ino whips around, eyes narrowing as she scans their surroundings for signs of the others on Team 7, meaning Sasuke. But Shikamaru's attention is caught by something different. He's looking at Sakura herself, and the change is mind-boggling. Her hair is the same pink as it ever was, but despite the ongoing war of vanity she and Ino have been waging via their hair for years now, it's pulled back in a neat, tight braid, bound not with a pretty ribbon but a serviceable strip of leather. The eye-catching red dress is gone as well, replaced by a forest green apron skirt over black leggings and a sleeveless dark red top. But more than the clothes or the hair, it's the way she moves that Shikamaru focuses on. That's the biggest change, because when they graduated, she moved like a little girl, the 12-year-old with a smattering of training that she was. But now she's moving like a shadow. Her steps soundless, and whatever she's been doing since graduation has added lots of lean muscle. Her gaze is calm and steady, and she looks like a kunoichi. Behind them, Asuma straightens up, eyeing Sakura in confusion. "Aruno?" he asks. "Aren't you supposed to be with your team right now?" "And where's Sasuke-kun, forehead girl?" Ino demands, like Sakura has him stuffed away in her pocket somewhere. That's actually a fairly entertaining mental image, and Shikamaru files it away for later. To his surprise, rather than snapping back or launching into a rant of her own, Sakura just rolls her eyes a little. "Hello, Ino," she returns, then offered the two boys a small wave. "Asuma-san, Shikamaru-kun, Choji-kun, have you seen Sasuke or Naruto recently?" Shikamaru hasn't, not in weeks, and it makes him frown faintly even as Choji answers, "Hardly at all since graduation, and definitely not in the last week. Is everything alright, Sakura-chan?" Sakura waves him off, as though missing Sasuke isn't a big deal at all. "Oh no, we're just doing stealth training, and I wondered if they'd come this way." "Naruto and Sasuke working together?" Shikamaru asks with some disbelief, reading between the lines. He's tempted to suggest that Sakura simply looked for the cloud of dust as they attempt to pummel each other into the ground, but keeps his mouth shut at the last moment. This is a fangirl he's dealing with after all. There's no telling what she might do. But Sakura simply arches a brow at him, as though that's a silly question. Before she can respond, though, a bright voice calls out, "Sakura-chan!" And two figures spring from the upper branches of the nearest trees and land in a crouch beside the pink-haired girl. "Status?" Sasuke asks as he straightens, and it's weird to see him without a superior or condescending look on his face, or even a moody scowl. Sakura grins, and it's unnervingly bloodthirsty. Scarecrow's out of commission, at least for now. He triggered the pit trap. She sounds gleeful about that. Naruto looks thrilled too and punches the air with a cry of, "Best trap in the world! Believe it!" Neither of his teammates hit him for it. Instead, Sasuke grins. Really grins. And Sakura laughs. "Report," she orders, sounding disquieting like Shikamaru's mother. What is future husband's status? Naruto makes a face like he's just bitten into something rotten. Can't we give him a different code name? He's my cousin. He's also my future husband, Sakura retorts tearfully, and that alone is nearly enough to blow Shikamaru's mind, because Sasuke is standing right there, and they're obviously not talking about him. So, only if I don't get to him first, Sasuke points out smugly, and Shikamaru's world is officially destroyed. I've got the Uchiha fortune going for me. What about you? Missing-nins are well paid, with a sigh that says he's suffered through this exact argument more than once. Naruto pitches the bridge of his nose, counts to 10 under his breath, and then cuts in with, "You're both idiots. Kurama collected 5 S-rank bounties. At this point, I think he could bite Konoha twice over and still live comfortably for the rest of his life." Sakura makes a face. "Don't bring logic into this, Naruto. He's going to be my husband and status," Naruto says hurriedly, offering her a beaming grin. "You wanted to know his status, right? Kurama is currently following the hinged clone." He breaks off with a wince, raising one hand to his head, and grimaces. Never mind. Correction, he was following the hinged clones. Apparently he got bored. Sakura mutters, apparently dropping the argument. Shikamaru still can't tell if it was serious or not. Future husband is a jerk! Sasuke makes a noise of disgruntled agreement, crossing his arms over his chest with a frown. Then... yeah, Sakura sighs, rubbing her temple. Back to plan... what letter are we on? Plan S. Naruto chimes in dryly, and since when did he even know what sardonic humor was? For screwed. There's a long moment of disheartened contemplation. And then Sasuke suggests, normally I'd laugh at retreat as a strategy, but against Kurama? He trails off meaningfully. Discretion is the better part of valor. Sakura agrees immediately, but it's in no way fawning. And I think that as a ninja, it just counts as evasion and preparation for the next attack. A pause, and then she starts, hideout with... yeah. Naruto agrees before even waiting for her to finish. He won't tell anyone. Hopefully? Sasuke snorts and rolls his eyes. Encouraging, dope. He snaps. But somehow, all the vicious bite has been drained from his voice, every last bit of it. At least when directed at Naruto. And Shikamaru has to wonder if it's a sign that the end is near. Best option, Sakura points out, then turns and offers Team 10 a quick half-wave. See you, Ino. Shikamaru-kun. Choji-kun. Have a good day, Jonin-san. Naruto chimes in cheerfully, while Sasuke simply grunts. A moment later, they're gone, fading back into the shadows and slipping soundlessly away like real shinobi. So much for the dead last rabid friend girl in grade 8 MA, Shikamaru thinks through his shock. But mostly... troublesome, he mutters, rubbing his forehead, because it's a mystery how Team 7 has changed so freaking much in such a short freaking time, and until he gets his answer, it's going to drive him insane. Then, a little too late, he realizes that Ino never said a word, not one in all the time that Sasuke was present. He glances over at her, concerned, and finds her staring at the patch of ground where her former friend had been standing. There's a nearly blank look on her face that Shikamaru doesn't like at all. Oi! He tries. Ino doesn't even seem to hear him. Her eyes are wide, and she looks oddly shaken. You okay, Ino-chan? Choji asks with concern, seemingly noticing the same thing. The blonde doesn't twitch, but this time she answers. I'm fine, she says slowly and blinks. But Sakura... She swallows, and then tries again. She doesn't love Sasuke anymore. She's not in love with him. Well, that would certainly explain her strange behavior, though it doesn't do anything to clarify how such a thing happened. Shikamaru wishes he knew so that he could do the same for Ino and snap her out of it. Does this mean you're not rivals anymore? Choji asks cheerfully, munching on a handful of chips. He doesn't catch the nearly dismayed expression that flickers over Ino's features, but Shikamaru does. Iruka looks at the three genin sprawled across his apartment in various states of dusty disarray, all three of them bruised and filthy and ever so slightly charred, and holds in a sigh. Isn't this supposed to be your training? He asks, though without much hope. Sakura offers him the bright, sweet, utterly innocent smile he learned to stop trusting roughly 10 hours after meeting her. But Iruka-sensei, we're taking advantage of the presence of allies within what is otherwise enemy territory. It's perfectly logical for a shinobi, and the game only lasts until 3 o'clock anyway. Even though he's already fairly certain he's going to regret asking, Iruka crosses his arms over his chest and demands, "How do you know I'm not a double agent? I could betray you in a heartbeat." As soon as the words leave his mouth, he's pinned in place by 3 sets of razor-sharp eyes. 1 pair blue, 1 green, and 1 black. The genin study him for a long moment, as though cataloging weak spots, and then turn away with a synchronized shrug. Naruto says entirely offhand, "Sorry, Iruka-sensei, but I think together we could take you." Iruka would be offended if he weren't quite so unnerved by 3 of his most adorable former students suddenly turning into predators right before his eyes. But he gives up with a groan, throwing his hands into the air and slumping onto the couch next to Sasuke. "Fine," he mutters, not petulantly, because he's not a child, but peevishly, possibly sullenly. "And Naruto, what happened to your jumpsuit? Did you destroy it again?" Naruto just looks at him like he asked why the sun is up and the earth is down. "It's orange," he says, and scoffs, crossing his arms over his chest. "Like I'm going to give Kakashi-sensei and Kurama-ni another advantage over us. Besides," he brightens with a grin and points to the orange spiral on his sleeve, "Kurama-ni got the Uzumaki crest put onto all of my clothes. They've all got orange now, and I can wear them and still blend in." Iruka is startled, to say the least. Naruto's been wearing that jumpsuit for so long that it seems like a part of him, even if he does appear much more than shinobi in training right now. He starts not quite sure where his dismay is coming from, because he's wanted Naruto to give up that eye-searing thing for years now. But Naruto just laughs. "It's still in my closet," he admits. "I'm not always on duty, and orange is still almost as awesome as Kurama-ni." Behind his back, Sasuke and Sakura exchange clear, "let's burn it at the first opportunity" looks. But Iruka feels something in his chest relax, if only slightly. Jutsus and new clothes and growing maturity aside, this is still Naruto. Iruka smiles at him and reaches out, ruffles his hair, and then, in the name of fairness, does the same to Sakura and Sasuke as well. "So I see," he murmurs, and it feels like his heart is 3.5 sizes too big to fit where it's supposed to. "So I see."